Have you ever wondered what would happen when a retired dungeon inspector opens up a magical pet shop? Well, look no further. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to be talking about Quaint Creatures, Magical and Mundane by Andrew D. Meredith. And this was such a kind of like different and fun change from what normally I'm reading when I'm reading Andrew D. Meredith. And one of those authors, both Andrew and Patricia Meredith, that whatever they write, I'm going to read. So I enjoy their stuff. This was technically a review copy. He sent me a code to listen to the audiobook, but this is one of the things, like, I'm going to read all of this stuff anyway. But the audio did allow me to get to it pretty much right away because I didn't actually have a ton going on for audio. And so this was a fun one. It's one of the few times I can remember actually listening to or reading or listening or whatever to a book the day it came out, and so listened to the whole thing. But this is, like I kind of alluded to, we have Rick Softstep, I can't even talk, who's a giant, and he used to be a dungeon inspector, which, side note, sounds like it could be its own whole like kind of series, somebody who goes to inspect the dungeons. It was kind of a fun thing. But now he owns Quaint Creatures, which is both magical and mundane pets. And this is kind of a cozy slash, like, dungeon type of a feel to it for your D&D type feel story, and it's just about him doing that and kind of some conflict that's arising in the city. I feel like just a unique idea, and I'll preface this with what I talked about before too. I'm not typically a huge fan of cozy, and I've been very mixed with kind of D&D game liddy type of things with that as well. So I knew right off the bat that this was not really going to be for me in the style of it. However, it's something that I knew I was going to try, and because Andrew D. Meredith wrote it, I was pretty confident that I was at least going to have a good time, and I did. This is one of those things where this was a 4-star for me. It's something that I enjoyed, but it just is not my kind of genre. I think that if you like cozy, if you like the kind of game type of things, absolutely check this out, because what this reminded me of the most is kind of a mix of Legends and Lattes and Drew Hayes, his NPCs series. I read the first book of both of those, and both of them I thought, like, this is fine, just not really my thing. This kind of has some elements of both, but I liked it a little bit more than either. To be honest, because it had some of the fun elements from NPCs, and then with Legends and Lattes, I felt like the conflict there felt more forced, whereas it feels very natural here. So I think this still has those storytelling elements that I know and love from Andrew D. Meredith, even though it's a little bit outside of my normal preferences. I joked with him too. I'm like, how dare you write something that's not perfectly suited to my tastes? Just because normally his stuff is a lot more suited to my tastes. So I think this is worth checking out, even if you're not a huge fan. If you're like me and you just don't really like that kind of thing, then this isn't going to be like anything that blows your mind. But if you like those types of things, at least for me, I like this a little bit more than the other stuff I've read in this space. And so definitely, I think, worth checking out. But talking a little bit more about this one. So like I said, it is literally a pet shop, and it has some similarities, I think, to what you see with Legends and Lattes, where it ends up hiring somebody and they kind of come in. But the things that really separate is the building is like it's kind of like never-ending place, and so there's times where like they explore and see what they find out there. Just the idea of the magical creatures and having a magical creature pet shop, I think, is also really, really fun as well. And it's the element too that Rick, our main character, is a retired dungeon inspector. So that's something that comes into play, and it's like him coming in to make sure everything's working in the dungeon, like the conditions of the people who are working in the dungeon, whether that's the mobs and the enemies and stuff, and all that kind of stuff. So just kind of those ideas I thought were fun. I feel like that really could be its own series. It still probably wouldn't really be for me, but I would be curious because I think that sounds fun. So kind of those elements added in, and so I didn't feel like the bits of conflict, because the first bit of conflict is absolutely him as a pet store owner and working with animals gets involved with something that's going on, because there are some creatures, and they're not all animals, but there are some creatures that are brought in illegally, and so he's kind of involved there, and then the dungeon inspection type of stuff also plays in a little bit as well. So it was just kind of an interesting thing there. We get to see lots of different types of creatures and people and things like there too, both that are just living there and also that are the creatures that are being sold. And so it was a fun way to kind of use that premise to show these different things. Because it's a Meredith book too, and with the cozy side, it does that we do have a fair bit of food. That's something I've specifically, I know Patricia Meredith, the wife of Andrew D. Meredith, writes, has food involved a lot, and we get some of that here. It's obviously a lot less of a focus than it would be in something that was more specifically around that, but we still have some of those elements, which I think were interesting with that. Something I do associate food with kind of cozy for some reason. I don't know if that's normal or not, because I haven't read a ton of cozy stuff, but it just having a little bit of that in there, I think works. Of course, I mentioned I did the audiobook of this, and I really enjoy Andrew D. Meredith as a narrator. This gave some fun things to do with different voices because of the type of setup. So that was another reason, too. I feel like this is a great one to pick for audio, if you like audio, because I really enjoy his narration. And when you've got different types of creatures, it gives him a chance to do a lot of fun voices and everything. And so I like his general narration, but when he gets to do fun voices like the Christmas one he narrated that Patricia wrote, it's just the voices there are absolutely fantastic as well. And so him reading a cozy Christmas mystery there, it worked out, and it worked out here as well with the setup here. So overall, I think this was, like I said, really solid. It's something that, for me, it's not really in a genre that I'm a huge fan of overall. But when you're looking for something light, I think this would fit really well. And like I said, I had a fun time with it. And it's for me, it's just, I think probably about as much as I'm going to enjoy this type of thing, which is fun, light, and different, and absolutely worth checking out if you like it, especially. Like I said, at least for me, and I'm not super well versed in the cozy space, but the things that's made me think of the D&D elements made me think of Drew Hayes NPCs, which I liked, but was just not totally my thing. And Legends of Lattes, like I said, which was a lot more food focused and the cozy side with a little bit of conflict as well. And that, like I said, I thought it was fine, but I felt like this added some more story elements that made it feel more organic when you're putting in just your little bit of conflict, and while still keeping that cozy feel and just the very fun and light thing. So overall, great to check out if you're interested in any of the things that I have said, looking for something light, or if you just specifically like those genres, definitely worth taking a look. Those are my thoughts, though, on Quaint Creatures, Magical and Mundane by Andrew D. Meredith. Let me know your thoughts if you have read this, or just kind of your thoughts on the cozy genre in general, because I feel like that's getting really popular. With you've got like the polar opposite sides. You have Grimdark being very popular, and so then you have more people wanting kind of the cozy thing. So what are your thoughts on cozy as kind of the subgenre or subject we've been seeing a lot more of as well? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description as always for the Wizardly Enclave Discord if you want to chat books, whether this book, other books, really anything at all. It's a lot of fun and we'd love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.